types of foam rollers. This is the general foam roller that everyone commonly sees. It's got a little bit of give in there. It's a bit softer. If you haven't done foam rolling in a while or never before, this is the guy to get started with. Up from that, as you progress through time and you start knocking off some of these trigger points or painful areas or tightness in the muscle, then you want to try and work your way up to what's called a rumble roller, which basically has teeth, a little more unforgiving, but a really good progression to kind of get deeper and penetrate into those muscles to get some of those knots out. So as per previous videos, the general setup is I always wanted you to try and do one leg at a time. So that what we do is we have our other leg on the ground and we have one leg up like this. What you'll often see is people often straighten their knees, tighten their quads, and you just see them like they're in the circus rolling up and down like a crazy man. So the only thing with this is that when you ever go to get a massage or you see a physiotherapist and they go to do some work through there, do they ever ask you to tense your quadriceps? No, they can't get that penetration deep into the tissues that they need to. So what I want you to do is I want you to basically soften that leg against the foam roller. You're going to split your quadricep up into halves. You're going to have your top half, you're going to have your bottom half. And when you roll, you're going to start in the top half. You're going to be straight on, so think about the central portion of your quadricep, and you're going to work through this region, almost dragging your toe on the ground to ensure that your leg is nice and soft. Once you've done that central top half, all you're going to do is you're going to slightly roll outwards. Now, you're not going to roll all the way onto your side, which is directly over your IT band or your iliotibial band. This iliotibial band is on the outside of the thigh. It extends from the outer portion of your hip, from where your glutes tie in from the back and where your TFL or your tensor fascia lata joins in through the front. Your IT band then comes and attaches onto the lateral aspect of the knee. So you are not going to go directly over the IT band simply due to the fact that it is loaded with all of these little red hot painful adhesions. When you go or put direct pressure over those adhesions, all it does is it causes you to strain, hold your breath, and therefore get adrenaline release going to the brain. So when you target the outside of your thigh, you're going to look to go on a diagonal on the outer thigh but not directly on your side. So when I do the side, here I am, nice and central. I'm going to rotate slightly to the side and then I'm going to continue working on the outer aspect of my thigh. Once I'm happy with the upper half, whether this is kind of 30 seconds on each component or each angle, I'm going to move to the lower half closer to the knee. I'm going to work central and I'm going to work slightly outer, okay? If this is all feeling great, then what I can do is a little bit of an extra wind up is once I've got that tissue compressed, I can simply flex and extend the knee underneath that tissue and give myself a little bit more of a wind up to assist. So now I've got that compression, but now the tissues are sliding underneath that compression, and it's a nice way for me to start to facilitate almost an active release to help out with that. Other than that, I can also simply just sway my thigh from side to side and, thinking this, getting something in there to break up all of those tight muscle fibers or guitar strings as we often say, okay? So when you do your rolling, always do a bit of a test and a retest. So if I feel like in the bottom portion of a squat, I can feel the front of my thigh against my pelvis or my trunk, then I might reassess it after and see, does this feel more comfortable in this bottom range? Do I simply get up and feel like I'm a bit lighter on my feet? If I have knee pain when I do a lunge, can I get up and reassess that lunge? And do I have less of a pinching pain on the front of my knee? Now, all of this is pointless once again if you can't breathe through it. So you need to make sure that you get that gentle breathing going. If the breathing is compromised or cut off, make sure you're not using anything heavy like this. Make sure you either decrease your time, or if this is still too sore, then even look at something else like a stretch to the quadriceps up against the wall, which we'll do in another video. Try that, guys. Ultimately, try and get to the point where you're doing a couple of minutes on each side. Really good to do before running, before squats, before any time where you really need to use your quadriceps. You don't want to get to the point where you've got so much tension and trigger points and knots in there that it starts giving that old yank on your knee. So if you're questioning why you have central knee pain, whether below the knee, whether below the patella or the knee, or whether above, then I would start with releasing your quadriceps and retesting those painful movements, because there's going to be a big contribution from the big muscles of the quadriceps. Thanks, guys.